Thanks for joining us, and today we're going to talk about overcoming challenges in Kriya Yoga. So the actual meditation in Kriya Yoga, there can often be some challenges that students will experience. One of the primary things that can happen with Kriya Yoga and with meditation in general is something we call asana, right? So asana is the posture in which you do your meditation. And there are some students who choose to adopt a more vigorous traditional yogic type of pose than others. Some people do Padmasana, right, which is the lotus pose. Others do Siddhasana, which is sort of a modified version of that. And then there's other, like a half lotus and so on. And the thing about meditation and the posture that you take is that it needs to be comfortable because you're going to be sitting in your posture for some time. So what you don't want to do is to be feeling uncomfortable and to be shifting around. That will disturb your meditation. And if you've ever been in a meditation with a group meditation, and especially people who are very kind of, disciplinary or very strict about, the quietude of the meditation experience in amongst a group and so on, people will say you need to sit, bolt upright and not move during the entire duration of the meditation. And this is not the approach that you want. What you actually want is to be sitting in a comfortable position so you don't feel the need to constantly shift around, right? So there are some people who have adopted a meditation posture, what they call the bow, right? So we're not talking so much about their lower body at this point, but the upper body, where they're bringing their shoulders back, they're pulling their elbows, close together, right? And they're creating this kind of bow shape, which is a sort of hyper extension of your spine, right? Creating this, this arc in the back. And holding that and just, not moving, right? The challenge with a meditation posture like that is that it's not naturally aligned, right? Your spine has an S curvature to it, right? It is not a straight line, it is a curve. And it has a curve in a couple of places. And so when you're sitting in meditation, your asana, the meditation position, you want to be sitting in a comfortable position where you don't have to fidget around and keep realigning yourself. If you put yourself in the bow, for example, that position, you are bringing yourself out of alignment, and consequently what is happening is the gravity of Earth is pulling you towards the center. It's compressing on your vertebral column, and if you're holding your spine in an unnatural position, you are firing muscles to hold that unnatural alignment, right? And what happens is that it will start to fatigue you and it will start to create a sense of pain, right? And also it can elevate your heart rate, especially if you build up lactic acid in those particular muscles, right? Elevate the heart rate to help to get rid, to flush the body of, the lactic acid, right? In those areas. It will start to feel sore. And then, you can, and I have done this, just sort of sit there, and just be stoic and take it. But you're fighting your meditation position when you do that, instead of relaxing and being in a comfortable position where you don't have to fight it, right? You want a natural alignment. And so there's a few things about a natural alignment. Since we have this S curvature in the spine, we want to make sure that our chin is not jutting forward, right? It throws our cervical vertebrae out of balance, right? So we want to align it so we're tucking the chin in, if you will, but into a natural position. So you also want your shoulders to relax, right? Some people say pull your shoulders back. That opens up your chest, opens up your ability to breathe. Actually, you want to relax your shoulders, but not to slump forward, right? And so you want a relaxed pose. The most crucial part for me is really with the lower body, because there are some folks that have a certain structure with their pelvis and so on where they can sit a cross-legged position very easily and their spine is in a neutral alignment. I am not one of those people. What I find is that if I have my knees above my hips, it tends to create a stress on my lower back, right? So consequently, what I do is I sit, and when I sit in a meditation posture, and I usually do it kneeling, and I'm sitting on a sort of little elevated meditation seat, right? This is something similar that some Buddhist practitioners use. So I'm sitting on my knees on a woolen blanket. My knees are below my hips, and my lower back and my entire spine is in a neutral alignment, right? It is so neutral that I don't even feel a need to move at all, and it can be several hours doing that. So if you're looking to, you're having challenges and you're finding that you're in you get into your meditation, you're doing Kriya Yoga, and then after a while, like you have to shift around because you're uncomfortable, it's likely because you're not in the right asana that is ideal for you. It's going to be different for other people, right? Everyone is different, everyone has a different body. But think of neutral spinal alignment. When you use a neutral spinal alignment, you're using the force of the structure to support the body, right? Gravity's pulling us in towards the earth, right? And when we are aligned properly, we're allowing the skeletal structure and the supporting tissues to do their job, which is naturally to hold us upright. If you get out of alignment, you're going to be using muscular contraction to hold that alignment, and it is not natural, right? So it's going to bring you out of meditation. So that could be a problem for you, right? If you find you can't be getting deep in meditation because you're distracted, you're uncomfortable moving around, it's likely because you're not in the right alignment, you're not in asana, right? So pay attention to that and adjust accordingly. And I have a video that I posted previously about the best meditation posture. And really what it is there's no best meditation posture, but there are principles that you can use to tweak the way that you sit in meditation that will make you in a neutral alignment. And then consequently, you don't have the stressors, right? You're not out of alignment, you're not shifting around because you're uncomfortable and so on. So there's that. Now, the other thing in Kriya Yoga meditation that people often have a challenge with is pranayama. And part of the problem is that there has been sort of an ideal in the Kriya Yoga community where they talk about you should be doing 2 breaths per minute. Now, this is something that Yogananda talked about, some other Kriya Yoga schools also talk about. And the thing about that is that for doing 2 breaths per minute of Kriya, sometimes that is too slow for a lot of people. They may not have the lung capacity, and some students have had real challenges with that ideal. Consequently, what has happened is when people have tried to attain that ideal, they found it stresses their body, right? They don't have enough, they feel like they don't have enough air. It creates a stressor. It stimulates the sympathetic nervous system, right? Which increases heart rate, increases the blood pressure and so on. And consequently, people will find their meditation not very fruitful because they're straining. We know from the work of Dr. Stephen Porges and his work with polyvagal theory, he's a professor from the University of North Carolina. We know that when you bring your breath below a certain threshold, it gets you into something that's called heart rate variability, right? Heart rate variability is basically where your breath and your heart rate can kind of come into resonance with each other, and you find yourself going into a meditative state, right? The breath lowers below a threshold of 7 breaths per minute, right? Not 2, but 7. So if you have been trying to attain the ideal of 2 breaths per minute in Kriya Yoga, and it's been creating stress for you and strain, it's fine to bring your breath rate up, right? So 7 breaths per minute, if you were to look at it for a second count, if you will, it would be a 4-second inhale and a 5-second exhale. That brings you to the 7 breaths per minute threshold that's required to get you into heart rate variability, which will lead you into deeper meditation. So if you've been having challenges to attain this, sort of Kriya Yogic ideal of 2 breaths per minute, increase the breath rate, increase the number of breaths per minute, right? You can speed up your breath. It is totally fine, right? This sort of guideline along this 2 breaths per minute is something that's, it works for some. I can do that. I can do less than that. But there are people who can't, right? And we all come from a variety of backgrounds, right? A variety of different ages doing Kriya Yoga. Some folks have a reduced lung capacity as they get older and they can't breathe for that long, right? So you can bring it up. But you want to make sure that you're going that 7 breaths per minute or less, because we know that has an effect and creates a heart rate variability within your body, right? Which will then help to lead you into an internalization, what we call pratyahara in yoga. The other thing is that you should be getting into pratyahara relatively quickly if you're doing Kriya Pranayama in an effective way. So I would say that 5 to 10 minutes or less would be you're starting to feel signs of the freeze response, right? When you start to get that signs, relatively strong signs of the freeze response, this internalization, from there you can do things like yoni mudra, right? So yoni mudra is a form of kumbhaka, right? Breath retention, and that will help to draw you into deeper meditation. And from there, as you're drawn into a deeper state of pratyahara, you may find yourself, your breath starting to shallow out naturally, right? Getting more and more shallow until it seems to disappear, which means that you're moving into the tranquil breath, which Lahiri Bhabha talked about. This has also been called the breathless state, right? And so once you're drawn into that and you get deeply internalized in pratyahara, in the tranquil breath, you will go into the sort of void state, which we call dharana, sort of an internalized void, and then you might start moving into absorption, right, dhyana, and then into deeper states of meditation, samadhi. So if you have any questions about this video, feel free to send me an email at info@modernkriya.com. Also check our website at modernkriya.com and our YouTube channel. So thanks for joining us, and we will see you next time.